Just off the east coast of South Africa lie two different worlds. One is a stage for the bold and the beautiful, while in the other, ambush and camouflage reign. Both are home to a vast array of life. From ancient residents to ocean wanderers. These are the Dune kingdoms of Aliwal and Sodwana. It all started with this. Barren fields of rock and sand. 4,000 years ago, small aquatic creatures began invading ancient lithified dunes along South Africa's eastern shore. They formed two underwater worlds that couldn't be more different. Both grew from the same fossilized sand dune, but local conditions gave birth to very different outcomes. In the north lies the paradise of Sodwana. Warm, shallow, crystal clear waters fueled the growth of abundant coral gardens, resulting in a wonderland unrivaled for its beauty and diversity. Today, 50 kilometers of reef house 1,200 species of fish and 95 species of coral. "400 kilometers to the south lies Aliwal Shoal. Although it comes from the same stretch of fossilized dune, it has a decidedly different temperament. Just up the coast from Aliwal, powerful silt-laden rivers plunge into the ocean. And strong currents carry the nutrient-rich water south. In these deep, murky and turbulent waters, very few species of coral can grow. As a result, Aliwal and Sodwana have evolved very contrasting appearances. The lack of coral in Aliwal has left a mysterious fortress formed by rocky temples and dark plateaus. But life has found a way to flourish amongst the sea currents and swells of this habitat. These two worlds are markedly different, but spectacular in their own ways. Aliwal Shoal is a dark and brooding retreat. It's a rocky reef 4 kilometers off the east coast of South Africa. An abundance of fish thrives among the nutrient-rich waters. But living here is no easy feat. Strong surges batter the residents, while currents constantly disrupt the uneasy landscape. Where coral reefs exist, they play a vital role in slowing down the speed of the passing water. But Aliwal has little coral. Here, the full force of ocean currents flows through the restless environment. Without good coral cover, there's also less shelter to hide from predators. And in Aliwal, predators lurk everywhere. Despite this, some have found a way to survive and even thrive. One particular animal finds itself in Aliwal as it embarks on a journey to more placid waters farther north. Hawksbill turtles flourish in the world's tropical oceans, migrating vast distances on a quest to breed, lay eggs, and find food, never staying in one place for long. But there's one area where they're in their element, among coral reefs. Hawksbills feed predominantly on sponges, which they find in abundance in healthy reefs. They've been known to migrate up to 2,000 kilometers to satisfy their hunger. In South Africa, there's only one place where the search for sponges may be truly satisfied. The hawksbill is heading for the far calmer waters of Sodwana. The northern paradise is a haven for reef species, containing all the food it could possibly need. The perfect pit stop on its never-ending journey. While the hawksbill is merely passing through Aliwal on its continual quest for food, there are many who live here all year round. For those that have to stay in these turbulent waters, the best strategy for survival is to remain hidden. Down here, camouflage is a powerful tool. It isn't only a great method of defense, but also a method of attack. The scorpion fish's camouflage is impeccable. They're adapted to look exactly like the contours of the landscapes they inhabit. Their spines carry a highly venomous toxin, potent enough to kill a human. Scorpionfish sit and wait for their oblivious victims to stumble into range, before stunning them and swallowing them whole. In these waters, there's more than one way to find a meal. Eels hide out within the rocky crevices of Aliwal's abundant caves, waiting to attack invertebrates. Their streamlined body is perfectly adapted to moving around the underwater layers and ledges of Aliwal. When prey swims past them, they launch out and use their many teeth like a vice. Breaking cover to find food is a huge risk. being exposed increases the chances of becoming prey. The most successful animals are often the most secretive. Predatory trumpetfish hide behind crevices or nestle within large shoals of fish. They're able to strike at their victims before they realize the danger they're in. Their elongated body allows them to face their potential prey head-on without revealing their true size. They can swim upside down, change color, and explosively dart forward. All of these traits make them formidable hunters of their underwater realm. While many of Aliwal's predators use the landscape to conceal themselves, others use their fellow residents. Flutefish have highly streamlined bodies. Stingrays have a far larger surface area. So the flutefish has figured out that by hiding above the stingray, it can catch its prey off guard. Making the stingray the perfect living shield. The stingray's coloration mimics their shadowy home. They glide through the ocean like apparitions. Or settle beneath the sand as if they were never even there. The sand is not only where they hide, but also where they hunt. They're equipped with highly precise sensors around their mouths. These detect the natural electrical pulses that their crustacean prey generate as they move through the sand. This informs the ray where and when to strike. Not all predators here need to rely on their cunning to find a meal. Some are just built for the kill. Blacktip sharks swarm through Aliwal, attracted in their numbers by the abundance of smaller fish and crustaceans on offer. They catch their prey with a combination of brute power and agility. Blacktips can generate deadly explosive speed from a complete standstill, often shooting up from below. Although hawksbills aren't ferocious predators like sharks, they still have to actively hunt to find their food. The turtle forges on into the blue, continuing its journey north. The voyage will be surprisingly quick. If he travels at his top speed of 24 kilometers per hour, he'll arrive in Sodwana in less than a day. Sodwana is a decidedly different world to Aliwal. It's a kaleidoscope of light, color, and vitality. But don't let this deceive you. In such a populated habitat, competition for food is relentless. Down here, beauty isn't used as a form of attraction, but rather as a warning. Here, the most beautiful are also often the most dangerous. Perhaps the creatures that best encapsulate this are these two. Harlequin shrimp are certainly some of the most attractive residents of the reef. But they survive in a rather macabre way. The harlequin shrimp's main source of food is starfish. With such picky tastes, when the shrimp get their claws on one, they make sure they don't let it go. They immediately begin work by paralyzing it. They do this by cutting through its tubular feet. The harlequins will slowly but surely eat away at the hapless invertebrate. But starfish legs regenerate thanks to specialized stem cells. So the starfish will be kept prisoner as it regrows its legs, feeding its hosts. Often the starfish will succumb to hunger and eventually die. But harlequin shrimp have been known to keep starfish alive by feeding them, thus prolonging their own supply of food. It's a very slow demise. Specialized feeding is what it takes to survive in an environment with such high competition for food. The shrimp have made the most of a niche unexploited by other residents. Another beautiful and rather flamboyant killer in Sodwana is the lionfish. Although their frilly spines and contrasting colors may be attractive, these may more accurately be termed destroyers rather than predators. Other fish only survive sharing the waters with them by learning to avoid them. When lionfish were accidentally introduced to Caribbean waters, the survival chances of all other fish living there reduced by as much as 80%. They've been known to eat other species of fish to extinction in the areas they inhabit. This one has spotted a potential victim. Splaying his large frill and pectoral fins, he herds it into the rock. It's a decorative and deadly form of attack. There's nowhere for the prey to escape, and the lionfish strikes, eating anything it can fit into its mouth. When the hawksbill arrives in Sodwana, a world of coral awaits. It's made it to the tropical paradise. It's now time to feast. But these turtles are fussy eaters. Not anything will do. Hawksbills feed on very particular, quite peculiar residents of the coral. Their diet is largely made up of highly toxic sponges. Many sponges have an exoskeleton made of silica, the main element in glass. Hawksbill turtles have developed a taste for this hardy and dangerous substance. They're the only reptiles that can feed on it. Now that the hawksbills arrived in Sodwana, the search for the sponge begins. It doesn't take long for it to come across one of Sodwana's main predators. But the turtle has little to fear. The ragged-toothed shark has other priorities. She's here to gestate. She'll spend 9 to 12 months in the warm, placid waters of Sodwana before heading further south to give birth. For now, she has the perfect conditions to nurture her unborn pup. Though striking now, this underwater world had simple beginnings. Sodwana's reefs began from sand. Today, dunes still line the upper stretches of South Africa's east coast. Thousands of years ago, coastal dunes here became submerged when a glacial melt caused sea levels to rise. But they remained shallow enough to receive light from the sun. And the temperature of the water stayed between 16 and 36 degrees Celsius. Over the next 10,000 years, coral began to take hold, thriving off the placid, warm waters and stable footing that the submerged dunes provided. The coral kingdom of Sodwana was born. Coral reefs first appear in the fossil record 250 million years ago. They have more species packed into them than any other biome on Earth, and were formed by the most inconspicuous of creatures: polyps. These small, blob-like organisms weren't endowed with a stiff body, so some developed an unexpected habit to support themselves. They secreted calcium carbonate. All of this reef structure is in fact just a massive collection of polyp exoskeletons. But polyps have not done this alone. Each hard coral has microscopic algae living in its tissue. These are so small that 1 square centimeter of coral surface can house more than 1 million algae. Without the algae, none of this could exist. When corals build reefs, they absorb calcium from the water. When this combines with carbon dioxide, it forms calcium bicarbonate. But this is soluble in water, and so dissolves every time it's formed. This is where the algae come in. They use up the coral's carbon dioxide when they photosynthesize. This changes the calcium bicarbonate structure into calcium carbonate, a stable lime skeleton that doesn't dissolve in water. This partnership is so important for the coral's survival that it can only grow where it's shallow enough for the sun's light to feed the algae. The relationship between these two types of organism forms one of the most diverse landscapes on Earth. A living space that transforms barren sand into an underwater garden. The culmination of this feat of biological engineering is Pachyceres speciosus. Uniform coral. This entire stretch of reef is a single organism. It reproduces by self-cloning, breaking apart and generating exact replicas of itself. On average, reefs grow at a rate of 4 meters every 1,000 years. Over time, forming a vast uniform habitat. Despite their beautiful appearances, corals are actually vicious carnivores. Coral polyps have cells called nematocysts, or stinging cells. The cells are circular sacs that house a tightly coiled thread that can be shot out, much like a harpoon. When the nematocyst detects that an animal is nearby, the cell wall floods water in. This increases the pressure inside, which explosively discharges the thread. These barbs tear into the flesh of any creature passing by, poisoning it. The prey is then pulled into the polyps' mouths and digested in their stomach. The struggles of underwater living have caused many crafty survival strategies. Some creatures have adapted to use the polyp's deadliest weapon to create their own quiet haven. Like corals, all anemones are polyps, and all have stinging cells. Clownfish are some of the only animals that don't get stung by anemones. The fish are covered in a thick layer of mucus, which helps protect them from the nematocysts. But this on its own is not enough. From a young age, clownfish will begin introducing themselves to their hosts. They do this by rubbing themselves on the anemone, familiarizing the polyps with their touch. Each anemone has its own resident clownfish that it recognizes. If a new clownfish arrives that the anemone isn't familiar with, it will attack and sting it. Clownfish spend their whole lives with their anemone. They start their journey as minute eggs under the protective canopy of the tentacles. Then they spend their adolescence playing in the forests of stinging cells. Finally, once they've grown, it'll be time for them to earn their keep, tending to the anemone. They fan it with water, making sure that the anemone always has a steady supply of oxygen. They also protect it from predators, remove damaged tissue, and stop silt from settling on its surface. Clownfish aren't the only Sodwana residents who can endure the anemone's powerful sting. Baby domino damsels are protected while they mature. Interestingly, the anemone only let dominoes in when they're young. When they grow up, they're attacked like most other fish. Luckily for the dominoes, as they mature, they become more aggressive, reducing their need for protection from the anemone. The porcelain crab has developed an ingenious way of tricking the anemone for its own benefit. Its shell isn't hard enough to protect it from the stinging cells, so it produces a chemical camouflage that tricks the anemone into not attacking it. The nematocysts remain closed while the crab filter feeds. They have two large fans that they sweep through the passing water. These trap the most nutritious particles and dispel the rest. Some residents form partnerships, using each other to help secure the next meal. While others rely on their own stead to satisfy their appetites. Goatfish have a highly sensitive external tongue to help them find concealed prey in Sodwana, such as shrimp and crabs. These whiskers are called barbels. Sensory receptors on the edge of the barbels help the fish probe for food in any habitat that it's swimming through. Once detected, the goatfish plows into the sand to extract it. There's another species of fish that has a particularly ingenious way of getting his meals. This is the Mauritian gregory, a herbivore that feeds on algae. There's a lot more to his frantic movement than meets the eye. Algae is a big commodity in tropical oceans. So the gregory has answered its own appetite in an inspired way. It farms. First, it clears off a plot of land for itself by killing off all species of coral that start to grow. Then it tends to its garden. It nips at the crop, snacking all the time, but never eating down to the root of the plant, so as not to kill it. Farming is hard work. He must constantly ward off his competition whilst cultivating his crop. This is one of the few species outside of the human race that farms. One of the byproducts of the perpetual contest for food is that it has ensured the formation of strong partnerships between species. Sudwana is full of specialist animals that have adapted to survive by providing services for others. Cleaner shrimp make their living by eating parasites and the dead tissue of larger predators. They set up shop at special locations in the reef called cleaning stations. When they're ready to work, they begin to advertise by swaying their front claws from side to side. This attracts lots of residents, many of whom would ordinarily eat shrimp. But there's an agreement that lasts throughout the interaction. As the rock cod approaches the shrimp, it changes its markings. This advertises it's here not to hunt, but rather to be cleaned. Then the cleaning begins. Cleaner rusts survive in the same way as the shrimp. It takes a lot of trust to climb inside the mouth of an animal that would ordinarily eat you. But for some, that's what it takes to get a meal. Further to the south, Alawul also has reefs, but these are not decorated with coral. They're made largely of rock. River sediment coupled with the high currents and constantly surging water means that coral struggles to grow here. Without good coral cover, the ocean's residents have to look for other ways of finding shelter and food. But from the adversity of this stormy setting, another opportunity for underwater life has been provided. This one out of human tragedy. In 1974, a ship named the Produce was carrying cargo from Durban when it hit a rock. But just as the ocean claims its victims, it colonizes them too. Here, the wilderness of the sea has conquered man's best attempts to navigate it. The wreck is a haven for marine life of all shapes and sizes. Its hard metallic surfaces are furnished with aquatic life. The result is an environment part human, part nature. It's an ambush predator's paradise. Because so many species are attracted to the wreck, all those that pass through here must be constantly prepared for attack. This dense formation of millions of fish is a spectacular system of defense. red-eye sardines are some of the most sought-after fish in the sea. So they protect themselves by creating giant accumulations, known as bait balls. They dance across the stern in a highly choreographed underwater ballet. They're not the only fish to school together in defense. Fish that live in the open ocean don't have reefs to hide in. So, like sardines, instead of using their environment to protect them, they rely on each other. All fish have lateral lines running down their bodies. These detect any changes in pressure in the surrounding ocean. As soon as there's a disturbance nearby, a fish will feel it and act accordingly. This makes schooling one of the most effective defenses in the underwater world. If something causes panic on one side of the school, the response ripples through, and all of the fish will be informed instantly. In addition, as each fish moves, it creates its own bow wave. Its neighbor is able to ride this in the same direction, allowing it to expend minimal energy and surf to safety. Back in Sodwana, the hawksbill's quarry has no means of escape. He's found what he's been looking for, some tasty sponges. Though rooted to the spot, sponges are in fact animals, some of the most primitive on the planet. The turtle's presence bodes well for the whole habitat. Hawksbill turtles are key regulators of coral reef systems. When they use their sharp beaks to eat, they open up the reef, allowing smaller animals to feed as well. Many others join him, all coming together to enjoy a banquet among the coral. And this is the secret of the Dune kingdoms. Out of the competition and the unrelenting search for food emerge intricate partnerships. Although Alawul and Sodwana are vastly different, this is something that they have in common. It's the relationships between species that keep them running. These expansive kingdoms see many animals having to band together to survive both their habitats and each other. The outcome is two worlds, distinctly different, but equally extraordinary.